Welcome to Streams of Income, hosted by best-selling author and entrepreneur Dr. David Powers, where we discuss streams of income, passive income, residual income, and even why there are dinosaurs and zombies in this intro. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to dive in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Streams of Income podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you are willing to give me some of your time to listen to either a business lesson or an interview with an amazing entrepreneur. So once again, thank you for listening to the Streams of Income podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. All right. So what he was talking about, we were talking about naps, and he was saying he thought the secret to just the workforce, the workday, everything was getting a nice midday nap. But then we talked about how if I take a midday nap, I'm shot for the rest of the day. Like all I want to do is wake up to go to my bed. And so we haven't figured that part out yet.
Yeah, I'm more like you. If I take a midday nap, I'm done. It just kind of messes with my flow. But
yeah, I have to just muscle through it and get through the day, and then maybe take a nap or fall asleep in front of the TV.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm up late anyway. I'm sometimes going to sleep at 2, 3 in the morning. So. Oh
man, you're younger than me. Well, once you hit over 50, it wears on you. All right, so I guess in intros in order, now that we've talked about naps, Dr. Patience Dean, and your titles: the passive income consultant and the original arbitrage queen. I like that. So we're going to talk about income and all that, especially passive income. And I want to hear some of your backstory too, because that sounded pretty interesting. But the first question I usually ask everybody is, what jobs have you done? Like since you were little, like your first job, and what brought you up to where you are now?
Well, I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset. And actually for me, it started in elementary school. So it's a little backstory with that, with one of my friends. Originally I'm from West Africa, Liberia. So I came to the United States when I was 10. Yeah. And so we came to Des Moines, Iowa. That's where we were. It's very, very small.
Wow, that is quite a change.
Exactly.
Because Liberia is on the coast, right?
Huh?
Liberia is on the coast, right?
Yeah, Liberia. Yeah, it's on the west coast of Africa.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So coming straight from Africa to Des Moines, Iowa, in the middle of the winter, right? It's a blizzard.
Oh man.
So that's where I kind of started. And then one of my best friends, we were at this point, I think we were in middle school. Or elementary, getting ready to go into middle school, like our last year in elementary school. And he wanted to go to a summer camp, and his parents didn't want to pay for it. And so he's telling me about this problem, and we're walking home from school. And I'm like, well, why don't you just pay for it? He's like, we're 10. What am I going to do? Right. So I was like, okay, well, let me see what I can do. So I showed him how to sell his school pictures. And he was able to make enough money to go to the summer camp. So that was a trigger that kind of started everything. And so by the time I got to middle school, I was a known business consultant. All the kids would come to me and say, hey, Patience, I like to sing. How do I turn this into income? I like to draw. How do I turn this into income? Right. So it literally started from elementary school. And then from there, I was doing a lot of graphic design because I'm very artistic. So I started out doing graphic design, logos, business consulting, helping people build websites to launch their brand. Started out just in the branding in that phase. But I've had a lot of different businesses, throughout my life. I used to have a wedding planning business. I used to do cakes because I also can do those 3D cakes. And after all of the years of just doing the different types of businesses, the catalyst for me was just the hardships that I hit, right? I had so many different, I don't know how much of it you've read of my story, but I was homeless 3 times.
I saw that.
Yes. Lost everything 11 times and had to rebuild over and over again. So that's really what caused me to shift. And after everything, I was like, okay, well, I've done a lot of different businesses. I've, seen what it's like. And I said, okay, I need to focus on building something to where once I build it one time, it continues to work for me.
Yeah.
And not just for me, but perpetually. Right. So that was the catalyst for my program. And it was like every time I lost everything, I refined my program, cut out all the fluff, because I'm like, okay, this time, what can I do to be able to rebuild without like all of the extra stuff that people add in?
Yeah.
And it's structured in a way that even if someone came from a homeless shelter, because I literally have been there,
Mhm.
they can use this and utilize this program to rebuild. Okay.
Okay.
So that was the beginning of my program that's called Generals Equipped. Job wise, I did work in sales. A lot of my background is in sales. I've every type of sales you can think of. Everything
Yeah.
from selling fine art to, selling windows and roofs and knocking on doors
Yeah.
to selling water filtration systems
Oh
to
man, some of that's not easy. That's like school of hard knocks there.
yeah. So pretty much any type of sales you can think of. I've just been
Yeah.
naturally good at sales because I think when you understand the value of whatever it is that you're selling, it's not even the thing that you're selling anymore. It's just yourself, right? If
Yeah.
people can trust you, they'll buy anything from you. And I think I learned that a long time ago, like, just from being around business and being, because I'm one of those people that's old school. I still believe in a handshake actually meaning something.
Yeah.
I know people don't do that anymore. I still do contracts now because you have to, right?
Yeah.
But I still believe in, just that integrity in your word, right? Because
Oh yeah. Yeah.
as a Christian, I mean, I don't know what I do believe that your words should reflect, what it is that you say. And I think that
Oh yeah.
if your
No, you're in a
business
good place
has
here for
that,
that.
yeah, if your business has that, people can tell,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And that's the reason why our program, we focus more on, I've always, even all of my entrepreneurs and people who have helped launch their businesses, I tell them, if you focus on impact, the income will come.
Yeah.
People are more focused on the income, right? How can I get more money? What ads can I do? What else can I shift, to bring in more money? And it's like, no, focus on making the impact that you're having more solid, right? Making that impact expanding the impact so that it's able to reach more people.
Yeah.
Making the impact, how do I put it? Something that actually is changing the lives, right, of the people that you're reaching. It doesn't matter what service you have. If you
Yeah.
focus on that service actually changing the lives of the people that you're bringing it to, the money will come.
Oh yeah. And even scaling bigger. I mean, some people scale bigger just to make more money. But if you think, I mean, with the right mindset, you're scaling bigger so you reach more people.
Exactly. So you can have more impact. So whatever product
Yeah.
or service that you're having can reach more people. Yeah. Yeah. It's always
Yep.
impact over income. And I think if we focus on that,
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, a lot of people think with some of the stuff you've gone through, a lot of people would think, well, this didn't work out, that didn't work out, this went wrong. Instead of looking at it as, I like the way you talked about it, refining. Like every time you went through something, you cut out what didn't work. So that didn't work. I'm going to make it better next time. And your end product is built on experience and not just somebody reading a bunch of Tony Robbins books or something.
exactly. So it's like, what's the fastest way I can rebuild from where I am and redo this? And then now, and just to kind of go through like my program as far as how it works, is we basically help people set up 3 trusts. They start with a business trust. And then there's a family trust, which is where all your assets are held and owned. And then there's a nonprofit trust where you're having all of your impact and your nonprofit work. So once we set up the trust, those are kind of just the foundation. It's kind of like the nets that you have, right, to hold
Yeah.
the assets. And then we focus first on the nonprofit, always impact. So we start with the nonprofit, and then I kind of sit down with them and say, okay, what type of impact do you want to have? A lot of them are coming in still working a job and wanting to shift from working from that 9 to 5 to getting the passive income that they need so they can actually do the real work, the things that you really want to do. And so when I sit down with them and I say, well, what is that thing that you've always wanted to do? If money was not an issue, if you did not have to work a 9 to 5, what would you like to spend your time doing? And, some of them have, some of my students, I think one of them has a program that saves up money for students who can't afford to go to school, but in like a certain, but in like a third world countries.
Okay.
So that's one of the programs. I have another one. She's doing a program that's going to feed the elderly, but it's like healthy food, right? So
Okay.
depending on their specific needs. So if they're a diabetic, right, or they have whatever specific dietary needs that they custom make the food and then they deliver it to them, at their nursing
I
home or
like that.
wherever they are. So it's just little things like that, right?
Yeah.
And once I sit down with them and I say, okay, then we take that and we launch the nonprofit first. Once the nonprofit is launched, then we start applying for grants for the nonprofit. So once that is set up, of course, we get them approved for the $10,000 a month Google ad grant for the nonprofit so they can start marketing it. That's free money, right?
Yeah.
So
And that's
I've
coming
noticed
straight from Google,
nothing
right?
I've said so far costs money except for my program. Starting the
Yeah.
nonprofit doesn't really cost any money. They might have to pay to register with the Secretary of State. That might be $100, depending on the state that they're in. Filing their 1023 easy with the IRS to get nonprofit status, that's $275. It's not a lot. So
Yeah.
once they're getting the grant funding, then now what they're going to do is pay themselves a salary from that. So let's say their salary is $60,000 for the year. I mean, it's a nonprofit. You can't pay yourself for so much, depending on what you're
I mean,
doing.
we're not the Red Cross making six figures.
Exactly. So they'll take that 60,000 salary. So what I advise them to do is raise their entire annual budget and then pay themselves their salary in one chunk instead of paying it monthly. And then we take that 60,000, we hold it in their, they have an IUL policy, which is an index universal life insurance policy that's owned by their family trust. So take the 60,000 salary, put it in the IUL policy. So now you have it growing indexed in the IUL, but then you also pull the 60,000 back out of the death benefit of the IUL policy. So now you have it in two places. And then you take that and open up an endowment fund for the nonprofit.
Wow.
So we do that first. And then once that's done, then we kind of duplicate the same thing with the business trust. Now we start the business, we start applying for business grants. Only difference is on the business side, you can pay yourself more, right?
Okay.
So let's say their salary from their business is $100,000 a year. They're going to do the same thing with that. Take that $100,000, put it into the IUL policy. So now you have $160,000 growing in your IUL policy. Pull the $100,000 back out of the death benefit of the IUL policy. Also put it into the endowment fund. So now once both sides are set up, the nonprofit side and the business side, you just continue to do that every year with the salaries until you have enough money in the endowment fund that your organization is able to run just off of the interest, right, that you're getting.
Oh, wow.
Because the endowment fund, I mean, I don't know why people don't use it for nonprofits, because that's how universities are able to stay open for generations, right?
Yep.
And you really don't need that much money in there. If you just need enough money in your endowment fund that 5% of that can run your nonprofit. So let's say if your annual budget for your nonprofit, I don't know, is $1 million. Right? Then you would need enough money in your endowment fund that the endowment fund usually does around 10 to 12% in interest annually.
Yep.
So where you can pull just 5% of your interest every year. Once 5% of your interest from the endowment fund is the same as your annual budget, then you can just run perpetually. And then the endowment is still growing because it's growing at 10 to 12%, but you're only pulling out 5% of that interest every year without actually touching the capital. And so now every year, as you're getting grants on the business side and getting grants on the nonprofit side, you're continuing to grow and grow that endowment.
Wow. Hey, that's you're creating legacy money there.
Exactly. That's the whole point. But the thing is, once it's structured, because a lot of people, we've had enough money coming through our hands to have already set this up. Just think about it, especially as entrepreneurs. You've had enough money coming in that if you had started an endowment fund from the time you started your ministry or your business or whatever it is you're doing, that you could be running it perpetually off of that interest.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so everything you've said, because a lot of this is new to me. I know some of the life insurance stuff that you're talking about. I've heard that, but and I could see myself trying to look this stuff up on Google and spending a year and never doing anything. So do you help everybody do all the setting up the trust, setting up the funds and all that?
Yes. So our program, General is equipped. If you go to patiencedeanfinance.com, you'll see this. This is my private wealth club, because I know it takes you to my main website if you go to patiencedean.com. If you go to private wealth club, you'll see that. So in the program, the trusts are done for you. So we write the trust for you. We have an onboarding meeting where we sit down, kind of discuss what your goals are, because I like to kind of get an idea of the type of impact you're trying to have and all of that. We have the foundational meeting. I get all the information for the trust, and then we actually write the trust for you. Everything else in the program is done with you. We meet once a week every Friday night. Of course, there's a dashboard that you'll go into to follow along with the previous videos. And then as you're working on everything, you can ask questions in the community. It's like everybody works together, so like we're all building together. So people even have accountability partners in there, to make sure that they're building together. So it's done with you. Like we're literally live just like this on video every Friday. They can share their screen. They also get 3 free one-on-one meetings with me. If they want additional, they can get additional one-on-ones. But we do so much in the weekly meetings that they don't typically really need to have one-on-ones. So it's literally holding your hand through the entire process, because my goal is to get each member of Generals Equipped to where they can become an accredited investor. Because then what happens is the program itself, once they graduate Generals Equipped, then they can become a member of the GE Investor Club, which the club itself is an accredited entity now that invests in my hedge fund. So which is another stream of income for them as well.
Okay. Wow. And in the stuff I was reading about you, you talked a lot about passive income. Is all this the passive income you're referring to? The endowments,
Yeah, so this creates passive income for you. So once in the Generals Equip program, once the trusts are set up and the nonprofit is going and doing what it's supposed to, then that's when on the business side, they can decide what type of passive income business they want to utilize, right? On the business side. So that's where that comes in. So when they do their business trust, now they can go look through the program. I have 4 different options that they can go into. So they can decide, hey, I want to build my passive income with mortgage notes, right? Or, hey, patients, I want to build my passive income through royalties. That's one of the main ways. Intellectual property, passive income through royalties. Also intellectual property through authoring, writing books, right? And getting passive income that way. And then also quantitative trading is another option that I give them if they, for passive income as well. But those are the 3 main ones. Passively through either rental arbitrage, like Airbnbs, they can do that, or mortgage notes, or the authoring, or the intellectual property. So those are all streams of passive income. And even people that come to me who, let's say they already have a business. This is another thing that I tell entrepreneurs to do, because I've been in so many different types of businesses that if I knew this years ago, I would have done this. Even if you have a brick and mortar business, right? Something that requires you to physically be there. I don't know, let's say maybe you have, I don't know, maybe you're a caterer or something, right? And you cater events, whatever it is. So bring in streams of passive income into that business so that you can hedge your business, right? So that you can be able to hedge those fluctuating months and things like that. I think that would just take the stress off of a lot of entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I mean, just so much stress. I mean, especially the people who are doing coaching and different things, what happens during the months when it's completely, you got 50% less than what you made last month. If you have other passive income streams, find a way from whatever business you have. What can I do, right? Even if it's a catering business, okay, well, let's come up with our own seasoning line, right? Let's come up with something else that can bring us in some extra just income coming in passively. Write a book about what you do, right? And have income coming in from, from that. And if there's a service that you provide, like my first invention was something that helped me as an event planner. I don't even do that business anymore, right? But it was something that made that better. So invent something, so there's just so many different ways. And even in your family, I tell people you should have a little, they sell these little bottles on Amazon that look like a light bulb. And they have like a little twist on it. I told them you should have one of those and have all of your kids. And every year, everybody should put ideas in there of inventions, things that they think would make life better. And everybody just put them in the idea bulbs. And every year, maybe your family can invest in getting a patent on one of those. Just if y'all just did that every year, how
Yeah.
much more will we have in the family, right? And that's not even including, making sure that you have life insurance policies for all of your children and the
Yeah.
IUL policies for all of your children. So yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty neat. I get a lot of people come to me like they're school teachers, insurance people, that kind of thing. Printables. I try to move them into printables. Like you think about a school teacher, how much paperwork do they handle every day? And they're creating things every single day. Just repackage that, sell it. Because I mean, that's what I do like the entry level. Just show it on proof of concept that you can make money from what you've already done.
Exactly. It for a school teacher, curriculum. Come up with your
Yeah.
own. That's a big hot selling ticket right there, selling curriculums. Yeah, just so many different ways that you can bring
Yeah.
in that passive income. But I feel like it's necessary because if you're really going to get your time back, because there's three main things that I believe we need to have back. You need to have time freedom,
Hmm.
financial freedom, and location freedom. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Being able to go wherever you want. Like right now, I'm in Panama. I retired early and moved to
Yeah.
Panama. So
So that's where you live now is in Panama.
yeah, I live
Yeah.
in Panama now. I don't know if you can see out my window here because it's so bright out here, but
Oh, yeah.
but
But I'm seeing the decor. I mean, it doesn't look like you're hurting.
yeah. So I like you can have more impact when you have location freedom too, right? Like
Yeah.
if you got up in the morning and you feel like, hey, I really want to go, I don't know, to Haiti, right, and start a nonprofit there to build wells or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? Being able to do that, there is nothing in the world that can replace that
Yeah.
feeling and having the flexibility to do that. Compared to having to be being stuck at a 9 to 5. I tell people to actually add up the hours. If you
Hmm.
added up 40 hours a week, how much time is that in
Yeah.
10 years, right? 20 years. Now, what if you were building something like this? It doesn't take long it may take, my program may take maybe 24 to 36 months really to have
Yeah.
everything flowing. The longest part of it is probably waiting for the IRS to give you your nonprofit status,
Yeah.
right? Because it might take 6 months for that. But once it's set up, it's set up.
Yeah.
It's set up. I have a
And
young
that's something you
lady.
can pass on too, right? I mean, just leave it to
Exactly.
your heirs or the trust or.
Yes, because you have your IUL is owned in your family trust, and all of your assets are owned in your family trust. So yes, and plus the endowment fund continues to provide for
Yeah.
that nonprofit, right? So it continues to, and then the endowment fund, a lot of times we do have to set it up under the nonprofit,
Hmm.
but once you have enough money coming in, you can just go ahead and start your own family office and have one for your business as well.
Oh, okay.
And then
And
that would
if I'm hearing this correctly too, all the assets, like when you die, it's not like you're leaving them to the kids, so there's no taxes on all that. It stays in the trust.
everything stays in the trust.
Yeah.
That's the powerful thing about the trust because there's so many benefits of the trust. Don't even get me started. First benefit, if you have W-2 income, did you know that if you have a nonprofit trust, you can donate 60% of your W-2 income to your nonprofit trust,
Oh,
up
no, I
to
didn't know that.
60%.
Wow.
So that's one of the ways that my students are saving money. Let's imagine if you are not paying taxes on 60% of, how much money comes out of people's W-2 checks?
Yeah.
What if
Too
you were
much.
only paying taxes on 40% of that because you're taking because you can do this, I think, with your employer too. Remember how you can set up some of them, they'll have you set it up to where you can split up where you want your money to go.
Hmm.
You can
Yep.
send 100% to one account, but what if you sent 60% of it as a donation to your nonprofit trust, and then the other 40% is what you actually get taxed on?
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of people see this stuff almost like cheating, but it's not.
It's not
It's
cheating.
working within the law that's there.
Exactly. And not only that, but you're having impact with it because the money's going to go somewhere anyway.
Yeah.
Why have it go to, I don't know, something that you have no idea where it's going to, or why have it go to, I don't want to say Uncle Sam, but why have it going there when it could actually be going to a cause that you care about, to your own
Yeah.
nonprofit, right? I'd rather know where the money is going and actually see the impact that I'm having. So, and then you can have your kids participate. When your kids get their first job, guess what? 60% of that W-2 income goes into our family nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can put the kid as an employee at the nonprofit. Okay. So essentially, they're
Yeah.
not really losing much, but it's just going to the cause, right, that you care about.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, there's the protections. The trusts that we do are non-statutory, which
Hmm.
means that somebody can't sue you in small claims court
Oh,
because,
okay.
yeah, because especially all of your businesses will be owned by your business trust.
Yeah.
And the family trust is the beneficiary of the business trust. So let's say if somebody wanted to sue your business, first of all, we don't keep any assets in the business trust on purpose. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the first thing. So let's say if they try to sue your business, they would have to sue the trust because you and the trust are separate, right? The
Hmm.
trust is its own separate entity. So, but even in order to do that, they would have to sue you in Supreme Court
Good luck.
because the only court that can uphold trust law is the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to throw it out. They
Yeah.
don't have time
Yep.
for it. No, those for that.
Yeah.
So that's the number one protection. Another one of the main things that I love about having the trust is that nobody can Google my net worth, right? Because it's not, my name is not on anything, with the Secretary of State, because a lot of times if you have like an LLC or corp and all of those, your name is on, on
Hmm.
record as,
Yeah.
yeah, the responsible party. So I don't have that with the trust. Now, some of my students will still have that depending on the type of business that they have.
Hmm.
For example, if they have a Toro car rental business, okay, you don't want to hold that in your trust. There's too much liability there if there's an accident or something. So you would still get an LLC for that. And then you would make the trust 98% owner of the LLC and make yourself 2% owner of the LLC, the business trust. So
Yeah.
now in the event that somebody, there was a car accident or something from your Turo car rental business and they sued the LLC,
Hmm.
you're just dealing with that through the LLC, right?
Yeah.
It's not putting the assets in your trust at risk. So that's how we would structure that depending on the type of business that you have. And of course, people who are doing like real estate, that's a lot of times they may get a separate LLC, right, for each property that
Yeah.
they have. That's fine as long as you make your trust 98% owner of the LLC and you 2% owner of the LLC. So you can still hold the asset seemingly outside of the trust, but at the end of
Hmm.
the day, everything still is owned by the trust. And then also another benefit too is the taxes.
Yeah.
So the reason why we have the three trust structure, where you have the business trust, family trust, and the nonprofit trust, is typically the trust will be taxed at 37%. It's just typically what they tax them
Hmm.
at. However, because the family trust is the beneficiary of the business trust and the nonprofit trust, let's say you made $1 million in your business for that year, or let's say from all of your businesses that are flowing down into your business trust. Now, typically you would have to pay 37% tax on that,
Hmm.
but you're not going to have to do that. Why? Because you're going to take, well, first of all, you could just, I don't want to complicate it. Let me just make it simple. Okay. So you would take the money that you made, you can do 100% distribution of everything that came into the business trust into your family trust. Why? Because the family trust is the beneficiary of the business trust. So once you've done the 100% distribution of that $1 million into your family trust, now your tax liability on your business trust is how much? How much?
Zero, right?
Zero. What's
Yeah.
37% of zero is zero.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's zero. So now your business trust is down to zero. Now you have the $1 million now in your family trust. Family trust is the same thing. It would have to be taxed at 37%. So, but in the family trust, this is where you're able to do all your expending, right? Which is where you're
Ah.
going to look at all of the expenses. But because it's a family trust, the expenses are much different than a business. So it can
Yeah.
include your mortgage, right? It can include
Ah.
family expenses. So
Yeah.
you can really expend a lot of it in that family trust. So the goal is to try to expend a lot of it as you can. And then whatever's left over. So let's say you're down to like the last 100,000 in there and you were able to expend 900,000 of it. Now you take that's left and you send it as a donation to the ministry or to the nonprofit trust.
Yeah.
So now the family trust, what's the tax liability on that one?
Yep. Back to zero.
Zero. And then the nonprofit trust is a nonprofit anyway, so it's not paying taxes. So that's the right way, to do it, and that's the reason why we have the three different trusts. It allows your business to be separated, but also still flow down into the family trust, and it allows you to have that impact with the nonprofit.
See, and these are the same, I mean, from stuff I've read, these are the same hacks or whatever you want to call them that, I mean, the rich people have done from the Rockefellers on down. I mean, it's like you're making it accessible to us normal folks.
Exactly. And at some point, I want to actually do this has nothing to do with this, but at some point I actually want to do a TV show. It's going to be called Bum to Millionaire, where I'm literally going to pick up homeless people and do this with them. So people can
that'd
see.
be fun.
Yes, I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, you need to put that one on the to-do list, because that would be pretty neat to watch.
Yes, it's coming down the line. So that was the whole point of even initially my business is called PDN TV Studios, Patients Need Studios, because I had a studio before, but I'm going to be relaunching my television studio. And when I do, then we'll start, with some of the shows and things.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the time is right now, because in the old days you had to be on a network. Nowadays, I mean, you could do it and then distribute it to Amazon or Netflix or Tubi or whatever.
But the goal is to grow it into my own network, though. It's for people
that's even
studios
cooler.
to be my own network. That's the goal. But we still have some work to do to get there. We have to grow the hedge fund to where I need it, and and then we can go back and do all of the fun stuff, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's as we start wrapping up, what's it like in Panama? Is there a big expat American community there?
Oh, it is so peaceful. I'm telling you, when I say it's peaceful, I'm gonna try to turn this around. I was hoping you kind of get a nice little view of what's out here. Move this camera a little bit. But it's so peaceful.
Oh, okay, it's starting to clear up some.
Huh?
Yeah. Oh, the glare is starting to clear up some now, yeah.
Yeah, so the food, that's another thing, because they grow food here year round, because the weather is perfect. There's only two seasons, rainy season and dry season, which is similar to my country, because where I'm from, it's two seasons too. And the organic food, that's one of my favorite parts of being here. Is fine dining. So much cheaper here. If you go to the fish, let's say if you go to a seafood restaurant or something, more than likely they've caught that fish the same day. It's really fresh. It's so that's just one benefit of being in Panama. Besides the fact that it's just so laid back, it's outside of that hustle bustle culture. It's really just peaceful and quiet. Everybody kind of minds their business. Of course, you have to be able to speak Spanish, which I'm still learning. So I'm using Google Translate. But other than that, and your money can go a lot further here too. You can, for what the average American, is paying for a mortgage, they can probably buy a penthouse here. And have a maid, a live-in maid, for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about because I've known some guys move to Thailand, and they, living in a crappy apartment in New York or something, they go to Thailand, they're buying a mansion, they've got a full-time maid and a chef, and it's pretty amazing.
Yep, you can do that here. The money goes a lot further. Like I said, the weather is beautiful. Like we're walking on the water in the mornings. I'm going to move this over here a little bit so you can kind of get a view.
Oh, wow.
Outside there.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I go walking out there in the mornings.
What are you on, the 20th floor?
Yep, I'm on the 21st.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I tell you what, as we wrap up, because now that I've given them a taste of what they can have, as we wrap up, I usually like to ask everybody top 3 resources for life, success in life. What would you recommend? 3 books, podcasts, anything like that?
First thing for life is to find your purpose. That's my main thing. Because if you find your purpose, then you can know what that area that you will need to have impacted, right? And once you know that, I think that's the main thing that kind of becomes like a compass, right? To give you direction. So I think that's the first thing. First thing, you have to find your purpose. You have to know what you're on this earth for, and that thing that your heart would be for, regardless of, whatever's happening around you. When you find that, I think that solves the problem, because I think a lot of people get lost because they don't have the direction. If you don't know what you're here for, then there's nothing to focus on. And so you just kind of do whatever. So find your purpose, continue to grow and make sure you're always growing. I'm always doing a self check, to make sure I'm growing every year, or I'm learning
Yeah.
more every year, and I'm better this year than I was last year. And then the third thing is never give up. I think that's, sometimes that could be the hardest thing, especially for entrepreneurs. Just never giving up. And really, I
Yeah.
know my name is patience, but so be patient enough to go through the ups and downs so that when you come out with something, you really have something. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people don't survive the curve of that to get to that point.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for being with us. I'm not even sure what time zone. Y'all are probably not far from us on the time zone, are you? Maybe 3 or 4 hours difference?
No, not really. It's we just did the time once they did the time thing, the time change.
Yeah.
I think it switched us, but I'm on Eastern time, so
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks for chatting with us. And so it's patiencedean.com.
yes.
And the other one's patiencedean.finance.com.
So if they go to patiencedean.com and just click on Private Wealth Club, it'll
Okay.
take them to the program that I'm talking about, or they can just go to patiencedeanfinance.com and it will take them to the Private Wealth Club.
Okay. Awesome. And I'll put that in the show notes too. And that way we'll send
Okay.
some people towards you and freedom.
Yes, definitely. Honor meeting you today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Hey, everybody, before we close out, first of all, I hope you enjoyed that podcast, whether it was an interview with an amazing entrepreneur or a business lesson for me. I sincerely hope that you gain something from it that you can use in your life moving forward. Before I leave, though, I need to mention that this podcast is sponsored by Lowe's Home Improvement Stores. I have become a Lowe's creator. It's a pretty cool thing because on this farm, I'm looking out the window right now and seeing all the things that I want to do around here. Most of these things I can do with products from Lowe's Home Improvement. And so I'm excited to be a Lowe's creator. If you want to check out some things from them and order some stuff and see my specially curated Lowe's storefront, you can click in the show notes. There's a link there for you. And I hope you build some amazing things. And hey, you know what? If you do, send me pictures. I would absolutely love to see the amazing things that you're building at your house using Lowe's products or anything else, really. I'm just curious. I want to know everything about you and everything about the cool projects you're doing because I'll be honest with you, I get some neat ideas for things I want to do at my house as well. All right, y'all take care. Thanks for listening.